Hello there, I'm Simon. I'm a product designer from Bath, and this video is the first in a series of videos, hopefully, called That Product Thing. In these videos, I'm going to be talking about product design, product management, resources, all the different things that can be hard to find. So there's a lot out there, and it's hard to know what to look at. I'm going to be talking about books, podcasts, software. I might even do an interview or two. I've got an idea of somebody. A couple of people that I'd like to interview. But we'll see if I even get that far. This is the first attempt. This video is going to be my top 8 resources for product managers and designers. So this video is aimed at people that are starting out in the world of product. Maybe designers, UI designers, UX designers that are currently in the industry. Maybe they're not even designers, maybe project managers, generally people that want to get into the world of product. I came from a graphic design background, and then I moved into web design, then I started doing a little bit of UX. And I started to hear about the world of product, and it felt like this weird, far-off land of magical beasts and hipsters and that sort of thing that was unattainable. But I thought I'd look into it and work out whether or not it was something for me. These are the resources that help me understand it, help me come to terms with all of the lingo that is spoken in the product world, and gave me a clear understanding of what product design and product management is, and should help you get to a position where you can comfortably talk about product design and understand whether or not it's something that's for you. So without further ado, here's my top 8 things. They're not in any particular order, because I couldn't be bothered to rank them. There's too much to think about, to be honest. But let's get started. Number 1, not number 1 on the list because I didn't rank them, I just told you that. Mind the Product podcast. Mind the Product is a website that's got a load of product resources. They've got jobs, news, stories, kind of blog stories. And they do a conference as well, which is super good. Super good. They run meetups. I attend the one in Bristol when I can get myself there, which is just like 10 miles away. It's not really hard to get to, but I find it hard nonetheless, especially during the COVID times. That's not happening at all. But they do a podcast. It's called The Product Experience. Can you see that? It's called The Product Experience. It's run by Lily Smith and Randy Silver, I think. Lily Smith and Randy, it is. And they usually interview product designers and product managers and CTOs, CPOs, all sorts of really cool people from the tech industry. This was instrumental in getting me up to speed with all of the terms that are spoken in the product world, and it gave me a better understanding of what people do in their different roles. It also introduces you to a new person on a weekly basis, which could be another avenue for research. I found out about design sprints from one of the podcasts, and doing research into design sprints took me down a whole avenue where I found out about Google Ventures, the way that they work. Jonathan Courtney, who's a guy that has his own podcast, which I'll get to. They release a podcast most weeks. Sometimes they repeat, which is a little bit annoying, but what are you going to do? If you don't listen to the Product Experience, get it on your phone. It's good stuff. Number 2, another podcast, The Product Breakfast Club. They changed their name to Jake and Jonathan. They didn't change their names, they were always called Jake and Jonathan, but they changed the name of the podcast to Jake and Jonathan. Can you hear the dishwasher? The podcast will always be the Product Breakfast Club to me. Basically, it's run by Jonathan Courtney, who's the CEO of AJ & Smart, an agency in Berlin that specialises in doing design sprints and training, and Jake Knapp, the guy that wrote the book that I'm about to get to, Sprint. This podcast it's not strictly about product. It is. They talk about product a lot. They talk to a load of really cool people as well. And they always go on about the fact that they ramble inanely about nonsense. And they do, but it's really fun. Maybe don't listen to it if you don't like swearing. The Product Breakfast Club is a podcast I basically binge listened to when I first heard about it. When I listened to my first episode, I was very much in the mindset of learning about a product and finding different resources that I could use to improve my knowledge and make myself a more rounded product designer so that I could further my career, basically. This took what was quite a boring pursuit and turned it into something that I really enjoyed doing. I would take time out to listen to the podcast. It wasn't just a way of learning, it was actually legitimately entertaining. It is very focused at design sprints, but there's loads of insights from Jonathan Courtney about what it's like to run an agency and actually work as a product designer on a day-to-day basis. If you're interested in product at all, just give it a listen. You'll either love it or you hate it, but I think most people love it because they've become one of the biggest podcasts in product. On to number 3. This should have been number 1, I think, because it was basically the first book that I read that got me into product. The Lean Startup. Bing! I don't have the book here because I don't really read books. The books I've got here I didn't really read, I've just got them for reference because I listen to audiobooks and I suggest that you do the same. I've got a 30-minute commute into work and you get through audiobooks really quickly, and also when you get into work after listening to these good things, you feel super inspired and you get quite pumped up for the day. The Lean Startup is a book by Eric Ries and it takes you through the Lean Startup. If you've not heard of the Lean Startup, you've heard of the Lean Startup. If you haven't heard of the Lean Startup, read the Lean Startup. But the Lean Startup is basically a step-by-step way of developing an idea into a business or a product and testing it. You use build, measure, learn loops. And I'm not going to go into detail. Read the book, The Lean Startup, number 3. That should be number 1 because that's basically a really good resource for getting you a good grounding in understanding what product design is. Number 4, Hacking Growth. Bing! I don't need to Photoshop that one in. As mentioned, haven't actually read this, but I've listened to it plenty of times. Get the audiobook. The paper book is good if you need to put a piece of paper to bookmark something for reference. Hacking Growth is basically taking a lean approach to marketing. It kind of gives you a playbook for growing a product or a service, finding ways to make it more popular and reach more people, and test those in an iterative way. It's really good at telling you how to strategize, prioritize and come up with ideas. AJ and Smart, the agency that I was talking about, have also come up with a growth sprint. I'll leave a link in the description below to a video about it and a blog post. Give it a read. But Hacking Growth will give you a really good understanding of what it's like to work in a product environment and use an iterative and experimental approach to developing something that you've designed. Number 5, Bung! Another one that I don't have the physical book for, but I do listen to the audiobook on a regular basis. The Lean Product Playbook. The Lean Product Playbook is a book by Dan Olson. You can also listen to an interview with him on the Product Experience podcast I mentioned. And a bit like Hacking Growth, it's a playbook. A playbook to the Lean Startup. I guess it says in the title that it's a playbook, but basically it gives you step-by-step instructions in how to approach a project in a lean way. It gives you a real clear idea of all of the different elements and the different people required to run a project in a lean way. Although it doesn't have to be followed word for word, it'll really give you that knowledge of the process and enable you to speak about it in a knowledgeable and professional way. Number 6, the power of moments. This isn't necessarily anything to do with product. It kind of is. It talks about the little things that make a product stand out and make it stand out from the crowd. This is something that's described as a differentiator in some circles, or that aha moment in the Lean book. But it's interesting to consider that if you've ever had a moment that really spoke to you, if something happened that really surprised you or made you think, wow, that's a great application, how did they think of that? That emotional response may have been designed, and that's something that you can design into your products and your services. Also, if nothing else, Chip and Dan Heath, really good authors, and it's a really good book. You can probably put it on in the car with people that aren't product or design orientated, and they'll probably enjoy it as well. So if you want to listen to it with the kids, no, the kids probably won't like it. Your partner might. Number 7. Boom! Sprint. Sprint is the book by Jake Knapp, one of the presenters of the Jake and Jonathan show, or the Product Breakfast Club as it's really called. It's all about design sprints. The design sprint process is a process that was developed at Google Ventures and is a 5-day or a 4-day process that enables you to take an idea or a problem, explore it within a team, develop the idea, start designing it, wireframing it, put together an actual prototype, a clickable one, and testing it all within that 4-day span. When I first heard about design sprints, I thought that was a bit ambitious, 4 days. Designing enough screens to create a clickable prototype in 3 or 4 days, followed by a day of testing, is really ambitious. But Sprint gives you such a neat playbook as to how you can do this that after doing it 2 or 3 times, it actually becomes easy and is almost a quicker and more efficient way of working than the back and forth of just having a middle manager talking to the client and then coming to the design team who then talk to the developers, and then you have this back and forth where there's a review process. Read the book. It explains it better than I do. Is that it? And I mentioned the AJ and Smart YouTube channel. That's number 8. That's my bonus resource. It's not as entertaining. It's good. But it's not as entertaining as the other things. The books and the podcasts I've mentioned. It primarily teaches you how to run design sprints, but it also teaches you how to do strategy sprints. They do growth sprints. And Jonathan Courtney, the CEO of AJ and Smart, has recently put out a book, which I'm waiting for in the post. Hopefully it'll arrive soon. Called the Workshopper book, the Workshopper manual. Can't remember what it's called. I'll have pinged it up there. That takes this idea of approaching a problem with a series of different exercises. It gives you an instruction manual on how to do all of these different exercises and put them together. I think that's what it's going to do anyway. From what I've bought the book. I think it was free. I'll review it. I'll tell you what's in the book. Just wait for it to arrive and I'll tell you what was in the book. But AJ and Smart's YouTube channel, bing, I'll put a link or something there. Be down below as well. Well worth a look. And if you're getting into product design or product management, it's a really easy to digest insight into a product design agency. So take a look. So hopefully that was useful. Those were the 8 things that really helped me get my head around product. And the guy next door is calling in his cat. I don't know if you can hear him. Lewis is the name of the cat. I doubt he'll ever watch these videos. But if you do, did you hear yourself? Shouting for Lewis? Nothing particularly funny. Just get on with this. Right, I'm sure I've missed something out. It'll come to me after I finish recording. It'll probably come to me after I've finished editing, and by that point it'll be too late. If you've got a resource that really helped you get into product, drop it in the description. Just to show me all the things that I've missed and help the people that are finding this video and not really getting anything from my incoherent rambling. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. So if somebody gets to it and they see, whoa, there's a lot of dislikes there, they'll probably just skip on by and we won't waste their time. More constructive would be to leave comments down below. Yeah, you know what I'm doing, don't you? I'm trying to get you to interact with the video so it gets more views and the algorithm pushes it up. I think that's how it works anyway. But either way, if you're watching this, you got here, and if you could help other people in your situation that got here, help. Dislike, like, vice versa, comment, and if you've got any ideas for future videos, other than the Workshopper book that I'm going to review, that I've already committed to, and any interviews, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe.